all this confusion, I'm trying to get the PPT. I think I should be more like Mr. Nalapat and avoid all these PowerPoint presentations. But we've been led to believe sometimes that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. So I thought I could speak more in a short time by putting some pictures up on the screen. Thank you for inviting me here. I think I should start with a couple of points to take off from what Mr. Nalapat has said. We're all great admirers of Dr. Swami, so it's a great pleasure to be here, and I think he is doing wonderful work for the country. And I like to say that, like Mr. Nalapat, I'm 100% secular, but I'm always on the side of the people who work for the people. So that until people work for the people, I'm 100% on their side. But the last time when Dr. Swami addressed our MoneyLife Foundation second anniversary, he called me a financial terrorist. So I turn into a terrorist quite fast when people turn anti-people. So you're quite right about that. Should we wait until that happens, or we'll start? The subject that Professor Vaidyanathan gave to me today was regulatory failures and the way forward. And, again, like Mr. Nalapat says, one can speak about it for a whole day. But actually, I'm going to try and keep this really short, just 30 minutes, because one can keep lecturing. The point is not about what we say. The point is what what we as people do to make a difference. I think this point about the second freedom struggle, I think a lot of you sitting here who are on Twitter believe that it's going to happen in social media. I am very active on the social media. I think one of you who's got those requests there should come and install Twitter on Mr. Nalapat's smartphone, because he doesn't know what he's missing by not being on social media. I think we all should be there to connect with the people and to get feedback. But change is not going to happen on the social media. Change is going to happen on the ground. It requires a lot of hard work. It's not about, working on a smartphone. And if you're not willing to do that, we will be struggling for another 65 years and there will be no freedom. So let me start with an area which is my area of specialization. You've all heard about how this Harshad Mehta scam happened in 92. I've got a little visual there because 92, I think, we were moving from a closed economy to an open economy. You had the Haridas Mundra scandal before that, but in numbers it was really tiny. The Harshad Mehta scam happened just after India began to open up, because there was an opportunity for people to get in and take advantage, and they did. This is forward, this is back. Which is forward? Okay, wonderful. Okay, I don't think I'll have to go back. Thanks. From 92 until now, in 22 years, I've tried to depict the proportion. Look at the size of scandals that we've had. 22 years of liberalization has been 22 years of rape of the Indian system in every possible way. Natural resources, projects, irrigation projects. And, we are not even counting the numbers anymore. We've been very fortunate to have a Controller and Auditor General who has put in authentic data on the ground. I mean, we owe an immense amount of gratitude to this one man, because he's put official numbers that Dr. Swami could take to a court of law. Numbers that anybody of you can take to a court of law and fight and, sit there in the court every day to make a difference. It's not going to happen by tweeting about it. You have to take the next step of filing a public interest litigation and get some action on the ground. A lot of times, we worked with people when it comes to things like Indian Railways, where there is any number of litigation that has been won. There are contempt proceedings that have been ruled in favor of activists, and there's still no action on the ground. So, action on the ground is going to make a difference, not in cyberspace. I have observed things over the last 22 years, and all these are my opinions. According to me, what we have done in the name of liberalization is that we have put everything on sale. Okay? So everybody is selling something. We create so much of hype because of these sales that at the end of the day we create numbers that mislead us. We have created an ecosystem where regulators are appointed because of being nice guys who keep quiet. which means that they're allowed to go to sleep on the job. And we, in the last 22 years, have a system where parliamentarians simply don't care. And I'm going to elaborate on that. Let me start with the area that I work in, the media. Okay? The dividing line between news, paid news and advertorials is long gone. And I don't think most people who read the paper even have a clue about how bad it is, because it is not about advertorials. It is about every aspect, every word that you read in the papers. I keep saying, unless you know to read between the lines, there is no point, because you're missing a lot. So everyone's in the money game. You have business and industry looking for sales or commissions. So also politicians. There is no project. If there is a great infrastructure project like a sky bus, which is going to allow you to travel in air-conditioned comfort at a small price of 7 rupees, and there is a metro rail which needs you to dig underground but will cost you 20 times more, a politician will choose the bigger project because the percentage of commissions are much higher. So nothing is decided in our interest. It is decided on the basis of commissions that they're going to earn. The media is the worst because all of us believe in the media. We look at it and we think that that is the truth. And it is today working only on revenue that it can earn, not about editorial at all. What happens then is anybody who can pay is the person who's controlling the media. It's not about good guys or bad guys. Anyone who pays a price. It is reached the extent where companies and political parties who can give out advertisements are deciding what is your editorial line. If you're on television, who's going to be your panel? How is the program going to be branded? They even decide the branding and the name. They decide who's going to be called. They get questions. And I'm not making this up. I actually have documents where large television houses have put out proposals to companies, multinational companies. A lot of the companies that you think follow great corporate governance standards are being bought. There are rates like 48 lakhs or 58 lakhs for what you get in half an hour, how many promotions, who will be on the panel, who's going to be invited, who's going to be showcased. And the line that you hear is decided by them. It started quite innocuously. People decided that when it happens in films and sports, it doesn't matter. When it happens on page 3 and you're talking about movies, it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter. But when it starts moving to things like the use of Botox, the use of plastic surgery, the use of bariatric surgery, you really have to worry. But if you look at your newspapers carefully, there are associations that are paying the price to get editorial copy. So you will suddenly have 3 years when maybe a leading newspaper will say Botox is the answer to everything. So whether you have cerebral palsy or you have some other problem, you're sweating too much, Botox is the answer. And there is nowhere is it written that this is an advertisement or that this view is influenced by somebody who's paying for something. The regulatory failure comes after this. And, according to me, we've got two systems. We've got a whole lot of companies that are regulated, and the fact that the regulators are sleeping on their job is a worry. But according to me, what is not regulated is today far bigger than the regulated entities, and that is much more worrying. And I'm going to give you some example. I say these are companies in no man's land. And the best example of this is Sahara. You've had many regulators ineffectually looking at it. I mean, look at this advertisement, okay? It says company secretary. There's not a name. This is a company whose logo is worn by every cricketer in this country all the time, okay? But when it comes to an advertisement that says 73,000 crores they're going to repay, that ad comes without a logo, without a signature. We badger the RBI to say, what is this? Is it official? Is it genuine? We do not get answers even today. Okay? And the RBI keeps quiet. We tell them, how did this 73,000 crore get collected? I mean, do you even understand the enormity of this number? You listen to what the UK Sinha as SEBI chairman says, and look at the amount of money raised in 1 year through IPOs. Okay? This is a 10-time multiple of that. And one company, unregulated. We look at their documents in the Supreme Court, and what do we see? All this money, finally this issue was taken up by SEBI. I'm going to come to that. But the document says that all the money that is collected, this kind of money, there is one MOU with a partnership firm in which Subrata Roy and his wife and a couple of others are partners. They have been given the right to make every single decision on how this money is being spent. I mean, what regulatory system are we talking about? Why blame the regulators? These are outside regulation. Okay? Sorry. Yeah. So I'm talking about Sahara. Look at the logos. They've created their own Bharat Mata. We're talking about Vivekanand and everything else. They have even created a Bharat Mata. Their offices around the world and in India are called embassies. They have their own anthem. And we are keeping quiet. Okay? What do you think SEBI has found? In all these days, they have come up with 100 people out of the 73,000 crore that is collected and more afterwards through those 2 bond schemes. 100 people who have a full KYC completion. I mean, are we a banana republic or what? And we keep quiet. Okay? This is the other one. I'm sure all of you on Twitter are familiar with Professor Ponytail. This is an ad of the University Grants Commission. This man's advertisement is in every newspaper in the country every single day. I mean, it was quite hilarious when Hindustan Times was launched in Bombay. For the first 3 days, we noticed it had only one ad. This is a Birla Group paper, okay? There was no Birla ad over there. The only ad was from this man, IIPM. And the only people who have taken him up are tiny publications. There's one Jam magazine, and then I think there was an Outlook Group, Career and Competition Times. He will go and sue you somewhere in the Northeast. Why? Because it is meant to harass you. So that the journalists are supposed to travel there and appear. And you know he's not going to file a case in that court unless he thinks he can influence that court. So you have your hands tied behind your back. You're traveling every time there's a date. So why? I mean, this is an example where even when the media would want to write about it, this is a kind of terrorism. And as a journalist, I've always felt that we can stick our neck out, we can investigate, we can write. What is the support that I expect from people who are going to read about it? Other than all the taunts about paid media. Every once in a while on Twitter, I lose my cool about paid media because I don't see support. I don't see people getting up and say, we are with you. If you were with people who wrote about this guy, I mean, the number of tweets you would see about Ponytail, I think they run into thousands. How many people stood by Jam magazine which has folded up? They were the ones who started it. Did you all stand by them? No. And it is okay to talk about paid media if you are doing anything, going out of your way to support, other than tweeting a couple of times and forgetting about it. That's not going to change the country. That is not a freedom struggle, and that is not going to make a difference to anybody. The third biggest area, okay, is Ponzi schemes which are looting people. Again, look at the numbers that I'm talking about. 20,000 crore, this was an Economic Times lead story about a year ago. There's no action on this company yet. Nobody had even heard about this company called Pearls or PACL or whatever. It's collected 20,000 crore. Japan Life, its founder's father was close to 2 prime ministers, collected 5,000 crore. No action. It's died down. People have lost their money. Gold Quest, QI, QNet. Is there anybody over here who's a QNet member? We get enormous amounts of abuse for exposing them. They even have international magazines on their payroll. And we have written to them, nothing happens. Okay? These are unregulated entities. I won't even talk about the rest, but I'm sure everybody who's on the net has lost some money in Speak Asia. And I keep telling people that when I wrote about Harshad Mehta in 92, there were a lot of people in the capital market who used to abuse me because they thought that their great bull run had come to an end and they'd lost money. But I have never been abused as much as I have when we wrote about Speak Asia, and we've been proved right. People have lost their money, they've kept quiet, but we get terrorized. Okay? The kind of bad-mouthing we face when we write about these Ponzi schemes, each one of them has a political connection. We had a Ponzi scheme that's folded up in West Bengal. We had a minister from West Bengal who came and addressed people in MoneyLife. Some of the people here, Kushal and others, were there at the meeting. And he said that the entire government runs on funding from Ponzi schemes. And so nobody, no political party wants to take any action. They keep talking. We send memorandums. We've sent it to the Prime Minister. We've sent it to the Ministry of Company Affairs. We've sent it through MoneyLife to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We get letters back from them. All that they say is that now we've got an interministerial ministry looking at it. But with the kind of money that I'm talking about, and as quickly as it gets collected, you can take a bet that no political party wants any action on this. And all those numbers that I quoted to you are from the Andhra police, so I have not made those up. Another one, Muthoot, Manappuram. I mean, I'm sure you're very receptive, but I made these presentations long before the gold price crashed, okay? And we even forced the RBI to set up a committee and look at prudential norms for gold companies. But if you look at their ads, they're virtually telling people, and most people are so financially illiterate, they're pretending that each one of us has family heirlooms that go down 20 generations that you need to take a loan. And they tell you, take a loan in 3 minutes, pledge your gold with a big haircut, because they say prices of gold will just keep going up, up and up. And we are holding seminars and lectures telling you, doesn't happen, gold prices can crash. Invariably, India has been lucky because the rupee collapses, and that's why the price sort of remains okay in India. Even at this time, while gold prices have crashed around the world, it would have been our biggest scandal today. We've been protected. Our price in rupee terms looks okay because the rupee has collapsed. And I don't think that's a good thing. It is much better for all of you to be educated on the fact that gold prices move up and down, and gold is ultimately a speculative commodity, and especially for gold loans, you would be foolish to go and pledge those your gold, because the minute you need additional security, these companies are free. That's when you will notice the fine print. They're free to gobble up that gold. They don't need anything more from you. All they have to do is say, your gold is gone. The effect of all this hype that we see, the fact that everything is paid for, these are the guys on television. All those people that I showed you, you put on your TV at any time or look at the newspapers, these are the ones who are talking at you through advertisements, through editorial. It fools all of us. And when I say us, I even mean me. I'm going to run you through a few numbers. Look at what's happened since 92. We got over the Harshad Mehta scam really, really fast. The market crashed for a short while. We opened up the market to foreign institutional investment. And after that, for the next 10 years, we celebrated the fact that we are the most terrific capital market in the world. We changed the fastest. We had the fastest automation. We had the fastest dematerialization. And all of us believed it. I did too. Because the numbers were like this. This is how the Sensex was soaring from 92. Look at the deluge of foreign money, except for 1 year in 2008 when you had a global financial crisis. Even as the economy is like this, you have round-tripping of black money coming in, which is why your FII numbers still look extremely good. This is how volumes have risen. Look at where it was in 92. This is your success story about the Indian capital market, isn't it? And what is it that you used to see? Every television channel, whatever the language, at one corner used to be your Sensex ticker, which is showing you the index every minute. And the minute the market moves up 200 points this way or that, they used to spend 15 minutes doing a story on the market, because we were given to believe that everybody in India is participating in this great new opportunity to increase your wealth. But look at what is happening to the investor. Do you want to know what is happening to the investor? This is the state of India's investor population in the last 20 years. It was 20 million in 1990. These are all figures from SEBI and RBI. Then down to 12 million. Swaroop Committee report puts it at 8 million. Just 8 million. And if you look at the number of people who trade every day, the number is pathetic. It's in tens of thousands. Okay? And all this big hype for 15 years, all of us were carried away. We're talking about regulation. It was the most glamorous sector. When I started in journalism, nobody wanted to cover markets, as they called them. You didn't want to be a market reporter. 10 years later, people wanted to cover nothing but stock markets. The most in-demand section was that. But investors were running away from the market. And why were they going? Not because they didn't want to make money. They were going because they were tired of being cheated by brokers, by power of attorney. People didn't cope with this whole automation system that we have. Because any one of you who trades, and I don't see any reaction from here, which is why I'm willing to bet that a small segment of you even bother to invest in the market today, which is why there is silence. And why don't you invest? Because all of you know you have to create a power of attorney, you have to dematerialize your shares, which means that your money as well as your shares are in the hands of some broker. If there is a problem with a broker, there is no solution because they will push you into arbitration where you don't know the rules. The broker is sitting there with lawyers. Most arbitration proceedings go against investors. There are lakhs and lakhs of people, millions. I mean, look at the number and how it's come down. Who tell me, we burnt our fingers, never again, we will not touch the market. So where do they put their money? Gold and real estate, which are both equally dangerous areas, or they get attracted with Ponzi schemes. And, the government used to argue all the tax breaks are available in the capital market and in mutual funds. And the government argued that, okay, you small, dumb retail investors don't know how to put your money. Don't use your brains. Go and put it in mutual funds. Have mutual funds performed? Is there any compulsion on them to perform? No. Is there any regulation? I've asked this to the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister directly. I said, okay, you want people to go into mutual funds, that's fine. That's a decision that you're taking for the country. Are you ensuring that mutual fund regulation is strict enough? Look at what is happening in terms of mobilization. Now, why will people not put money in mutual funds when you have such fantastic tax breaks over there? Because you're not getting returns. If the returns that you get, or if you lose your principal, people used to laugh at anyone who puts their money in fixed deposits and say, it's ridiculous, you don't beat inflation, and it's taxable. After 2008, people began to say, at least I get a return. In mutual funds, you may lose your principal. Forget about getting a return. What is the point of the tax break? And the numbers tell you. We get blinded by the hype. We get blinded by the fact that there are mutual fund ads which are constantly telling you, don't worry about your retirement. Just put some money, sip every month, and you're getting returns. This is the truth about the mutual fund industry. I'm going to go back one slide. And, one of the questions that people ask us when we talk about these numbers, and we've showed these numbers to people in government, and every time we showed it to people in the RBI or at banks, they used to be shocked with the numbers. And they say, okay, if this is what you're saying, where is the money going? And this is a chart which says, where is the money going? You would see others is the big chunk, bank deposits is the biggest, and this little sliver that you're seeing, shares and debentures, and it includes UTI at that time, because UTI at that time, the mutual funds used to be part of government, so they included it with shares and debentures. That little segment should have been far bigger just on the basis of market capitalization. Instead, it has fallen to 4%. Okay? This is the truth. This is how we get carried away by what you see in terms of ads and editorial that is paid for, because you have no clue what is happening and what the real numbers are. Nobody wants to talk these numbers. None of the mainline press is ready to discuss it. And I keep putting these up because we are the only ones who are rubbing these numbers in the faces of policymakers, because no mainstream media will carry it. Television will not carry it, because they will not get ads if they tell people this is the pathetic state of investor engagement in India. All this boils down to a simple factor. The reason why we set up MoneyLife Foundation, the reason why we are spending so much of time in a not-for-profit organization to tell people what is it all about. Modern research, post-2008, when the world woke up to the fact that people go and invest in the most dangerous instruments, there's been new research which shows that ordinary people are not hardwired to understand numbers. Devashish, my husband, keeps saying people's eyes glaze over when they see, 10 sets of numbers in a row. It is a fact. People don't know how to calculate. So a disclosure-based system that we adopted for 20 years said that I can disclose anything. And this is a true story. One company went public saying that it has been charged with murder in the T-Series case. As long as there's a disclosure in the prospectus, nothing stops them from raising money. We adopted this system. Okay? So under disclosure-based systems, all the risks are in tiny print in so-called risk factors, knowing fully well that 99% of the people don't understand it. And let me tell you something else. Those who are managing your money, go and ask them, where do you put your money? And you would be shocked at how many of them tell you that their money is in bonds or in FDs. They're managing your money, but they don't risk their money in the same instruments that they manage. Okay? The second thing that happens, and this is really important, is that people translate their experience in buying consumer durables, automobiles, to the financial sector. So it means that if I buy a Porsche, I expect a certain performance, a certain kind of facilities. If I buy an iPhone, I expect it to be superior to other phones that I buy which are cheaper. The financial sector is the only place where a brand name means nothing. And we keep getting calls every day saying, but I trusted this bank or that bank and I trusted a foreign bank. No difference. Citibank, HSBC, HDFC, as bad and as likely to make you lose your money as anybody else. Okay? Look at these cases. They are true stories, we've written them. Sucheta Krishnamurthy gets 4 crores. HSBC knows it. Now this is another thing that we've been fighting about. They have a fiduciary responsibility to you because they alone know. So who knew that Sucheta Krishnamurthy has suddenly got 4 crores in her account? The bankers in HSBC, because that's where she had an account. So what do? They send 2 relationship managers to her house to tell her, ma'am, we'll tell you how to invest. And they told her to put money in ULIPs. They told her to put money in a loan that she didn't need. And they said the returns on ULIPs every month will be higher than the EMI that she has to pay on her loan. And she's lost 85 lakhs. And because she's a celebrity, it's a double whammy. Because anybody who wants to take up her case also wants to charge fat fees to do it. And the more, she's actually more helpless than anybody else. I've written to the IRDA for her. They've done nothing. I've written to the RBI. They ignore the letters. And I suppose unless she sits on a hunger strike, I can't imagine what's going to happen. So this is what comes from believing in brands. This is another cover story that we did. This is Reliance Insurance. That man there called Inja Muri is a ticket collector in Sholapur. He's settled in Sholapur. He has 2 wives, half a dozen children, and he got carried away with all the ads that say buy insurance. So he got his retirement funds and he wanted to buy insurance. So he was walking around trying to find an insurance policy. When he came to us, he did not even know the difference between, he used to call insurance LIC. I wanted to take LIC. He actually landed up in Reliance Insurance office. They forged PAN numbers, forged signatures, forged witnesses because they had a couple of thumbprints. One of his illiterate wives is shown as having a PAN number which is not hers. Okay? When we campaigned and we took this up and we wrote to IRDA, he got his money back. The company has not been punished. I mean, what is a big deal about him getting his money back with interest? Of course, he is happy. We are happy that it succeeded. But the company is not punished, which means that it's free to do this over and over again. This is a story all of you on Twitter would have seen if you follow us. The last 2-3 days, 79-year-old Mangelal Sharma, he printed that t-shirt saying IndusInd Bank is a cheat. They went to his house and persuaded him to withdraw money from a fixed deposit. They told him to invest in DWS scheme, which they said is a development of your wealth scheme. And they said it's a bank scheme. It's a fixed deposit that offers you a higher interest. And they cheated him. He reached us well after he had produced this t-shirt. He used to go and dance in the bank in the mornings, singing that this bank can cheat you. We finally took it up. Then it was all over Twitter. The loss of face was much bigger. So the bank goes to him at 11:30 at night the next day and returns his check, a draft. Okay? So everything can happen when you fight for it, but you need to get up there and fight. Am I saying that they cheat you? I'm sure all of you have seen this Max New York advertisement, right? Now the insurance companies themselves are advertising the modus operandi of how they cheat people. And they think they're really smart, but we have so many complaints about Max New York itself. But they're unembarrassed and they're telling you how they cheat people. Even then you have the insurance regulator sleeping. There is no action to prevent this kind of mis-selling. Finally, my biggest grouse, and this is a memorandum that we sent to the RBI day before yesterday, is that you have to stop selling third-party products through bank relationship managers because they have a fiduciary responsibility. They know what money is in your account. They're coming and openly and deliberately mis-selling to you. In fact, the name that people have coined for them is banksters, like scansters, because the maximum amount of systematic cheating that's happening today is happening through banks. And most of you have seen, what I keep saying is, if your official policy is that it's okay to cheat senior citizens, it's okay to cheat women because they know less about finance and they've psyched themselves into thinking they know less about finance, then it's just one small step to saying, okay, you have a politician coming with a bag of money, how do you launder it? So do you believe Cobra Post? Yes, I believe it. Because if people have no compunction about coming to your house, breach of fiduciary responsibility, and cheating you of your money, telling you to put it in a toxic product that is 100% going to destroy your wealth, why will they not take a politician's wealth and put it into insurance where they're going to get a 20% commission? I think it's the more clean thing to do. The RBI is going to punish them in the next few days. But if you ask me, that's less of a scandal than coming to your house and cheating senior citizens and women, knowing fully well that they are listening to you because they think they can trust their banker and the banker has their best interests at heart. It is far worse. But is there any noise about it? No. Apart from the fact that we have sent a memorandum, I need to see action on the ground, because if you feel strongly, write to us, we'll collate those letters and send them to RBI. Unless people see numbers, they don't get moved to do anything. Then you have the celebrity marketers. I keep saying, why do we have this nice pink glaze in front of our eyes when we're looking at the media? Because we are taken in for a ride by every one of them. So you have Amitabh Bachchan, wonderful actor. I mean, I'm a big fan, okay? But you have this ad where he's standing at the airport security and telling those poor guys, you don't have insurance. Do you know how difficult it is to select the right insurance? A person I know from Goldman Sachs with 3 children called an insurance guy and said, a 1-hour appointment because I need to buy insurance for my kids. He was so confused at the end of 1 hour, he said, leave your literature and go back. But what is Mr. Bachchan saying? No problem. It takes just 2 minutes. Okay, so they're going to take time off from the security, sign something, and they think they've got insurance. What about Irfan Khan? Tremendous actor. What does he say? Kam insurance lene ki bimari. Remember the ad? Okay, so we did the numbers. And we found that Aegon Religare, which that ad is about, has the highest rate of rejection. Okay? So kam insurance lene ki bimari, take more insurance, we'll reject more. Who's the monkey? But he's a great actor. And then of course, the last is God himself, Sachin Tendulkar. You can't say a word against Sachin Tendulkar. But he tells you to buy insurance. So you're buying insurance for your children. Do you know a village 2 hours from Bombay, every single smart financial advisor went there and had every single person in the village buying insurance for his child, education insurance. I don't even think they know how to fill the form or how to get it when they want it. And I don't think either the advisor will be there or the insurance company when it actually happens. And we've been saying that you have rules. If you are coming to the capital market, SEBI rules are very clear. You cannot use celebrity endorsers. Okay? You can't sell an IPO using Madhuri Dixit. It was the first case that happened in the beginning of the IPO boom. She was a director in a company. She was a superstar at that time. SEBI says nothing doing. You can't have her endorsing your mutual fund. You can't put her on your prospectus. If they could do it in the early 90s, we are now in 2013. IRDA ignores us. RBI ignores us. That's why when Cobra Post happened, I was saying the buck has to stop at the RBI. If the governor's job is on the line, if you say that for the Delhi 5-year-old's rape, the police commissioner's job should be on the line, and I agree, then for Cobra Posting, it has to be the RBI governor's job on the line. Because if his job is on the line, he will ensure that for 20 years you're not sitting with bad regulation. Why are these people endorsing financial products which are taking you for a ride? Why does this happen? Because all the checks and balances have failed. All the regulators are on a sinecure after their IAS retirement. All independent regulators, starting with SEBI, have an age of 65. They want that job to prolong another 5 years of working life with every perk that you can think of. The perks are significantly higher than in government. When you come to SEBI or an IRDA or any of the RBI, they want to do that. Your members of parliament are unconcerned. I remember in 92, I keep saying that the story would have been killed quite fast after the first story break if it wasn't for the fact that people from the left parties, people like George Fernandez, made such a noise in Parliament. I keep remembering, I didn't even know Bada Sand is Big Bull. It was a translation. And I remember the noise he was making in Parliament. Today, we cannot find a member of Parliament who is ready to take up any issues. And for the first 10 years of my journalism, everything that we wrote, if we wanted it to have some impact, you would send it to an MP. Today, across the spectrum, nobody, not even the left parties, nobody wants to raise Has anybody spoken about Sahara? Has anybody spoken about Ponzi schemes? They are not interested. They don't give a damn. Okay? And this is why the parliamentary system of oversight fails. Now, why do the regulators get away by doing anything that they want to? Because earlier you had parliamentary standing committees that looked at it. They got pulled up in those committees. Today the committees are not asking questions either. All the parliamentarians are jockeying to become your friends. You want to take up railways? There are 2 MPs who are interested in so-called supporting you so that they can get onto a committee. Are they going to do anything in the committee? No. Do they do anything in a joint parliamentary committee? Nothing happened in 92. In the Ketan Parekh scam, it was much worse because they actually put every friend of every scamster onto the JPC and there was absolutely no action, no investigation against corporate India. So your system of checks and balances itself has completely failed and so you're not going to get any action. What's the third step? Your businessmen are in parliament. You know, Mr. Nalapat talked about Tirupati. The man who was the chairman of Tirupati running a brewery is sitting there in parliament. Now, if all these guys are in parliament, who's going to act against whom? Okay, every single big corporate house. I'm starting with Praful Patel because this magazine had documented his wealth. Then you, of course, have the king of good times. And as long as you're allowing them to get into parliament, nothing's going to change. Your freedom struggle is going to be a struggle. Next area, these are the loans. You know, I mean, all those people are responsible for this. Praful Patel, Air India disaster. Kingfisher, 7,000 crores. Farmers commit suicide, but we put so much of pressure, that's why the government is hesitating a little bit, otherwise Vijay Mallya would have got away with yet another sanction. I don't know if you know the story, but when at one time the banks converted his loans into equity, apparently when there was a big public furor, they called the banks and said, how did you convert his loans to equity? And I'm told, I don't know how true this is, but one of the bankers tells me that he turned around and said, well, you are the ones who forced us to convert. Because he's a member of parliament. They didn't do it on their own. So on what basis are you going to pull up a bank afterwards to say, why did you give him, fresh loans, or why did you evergreen his loans? Because they're hand in glove. In Maharashtra, the biggest scandal possible is your irrigation scandal. We've been writing about this in bits and pieces from the 90s. But believe me, there's no point in saying media should do this or do that. Without public support, there is only so much you can do. I keep telling people that all the time we feel like a dog that's barking at a passing car. We do our job of barking. So we have barked, the car has gone away. The next car comes, we are barking again. But unless you, the people, get involved, there is nothing you can do. We will just be barking dogs because news reporting requires that you need a follow-up. The follow-up needs a news angle. So if the news angle can be that 500 people came and protested somewhere, I have a second story to write. Otherwise, I can't keep regurgitating the same thing. I've given you all the facts in the public domain. You are sitting down, reading it over a cup of coffee, maybe sending out 3 tweets in the morning. Your job is done. And then 1 week later you will say, oh, paid media? Why isn't paid media following it? What about you? Why don't you hold a mirror to yourself and say, do I do anything? Do I write a letter to the editor? Have I ever stood up and protest? A simple letter. How many of you actually take the trouble to write a letter to say we support something, or write to a regulator saying that we are tired of this nonsense, we are tired of being cheated? You people don't do anything and you want others to do it. And this is why we, the middle class today, this is how we look to our Indian politicians. Faceless, formless, easy to control. It doesn't matter as long as they put some saffron or green to us, we are easy to control. Because the rest of us who understand, who can do something, who say we are on cyber media are doing absolutely nothing. Lots of people on Twitter will say, what is the use? When we took up Mangalal Sharma's case last week, and I'm saying this because it's absolutely fresh, at least 10% of the people wrote to us saying, kuch nahi hone wala. Okay? In exactly 2 days' time, the man got his money back. So my point is that if we are a tiny organization, we are still struggling to do what we do, it is because there are victories. We have not changed the system, but there are plenty of tiny victories that keep us going. Even Inja Mori got his money back. So yes, the company didn't get punished. Yes, the rules have not got changed. They will happen when we have larger support. But do we have a tiny victory? Yes, we do. And if you are not going to start getting active, I say get active, it's your country. No point in sitting and whining about it. you have to be interested in doing something. Thank you so much.
There'll be some questions now going to be fielded by Sucheta ji. Please be brief, one question per person, and no arguments, please.
It's okay.
Hello. Hello, madam. My name is Animesh Pal. I have a question. You have talked about the paid news. Actually, I can recall one article I have read in Indian Express by Mr. Shekhar Gupta. So he talked about that if media does not correct themselves, then there is a requirement of media regulator. So do you feel this type of thing, media regulator, works out in Indian framework? It will be anything effective?
I don't know what Shekhar Gupta has written, but there is a regulator of sorts, and it's your Justice Kajju today. I think if I say that, it rests my case. He heads the press council.
Namaskar. My question is to Sucheta ji and probably Dr. Swami as well. Maybe it's going way too forward. Professor Nalapat spoke about terrorism and death is the penalty for terrorism. Should economic terrorism not carry the same penalty? Because that is impacting much more lives. A Kasab killed 166 and probably the scams that are going on, I don't know how many they have killed through malnutrition.
I don't know about penalty. You know, the 92 cases have not got over as yet. So people who have money know how to use the system so that they use the judicial system, which otherwise works well for everybody else, to delay cases forever. So you show me cases which have actually resulted in a trial and a decision, then we can talk about what will happen. But I think our record post-liberalization is so poor about any kind of conviction that, I forget about death penalty. What you're asking is pretty extreme. I haven't even really seen serious penalties in terms of people going to jail post, conviction. They're arrested, you have a photo opportunity for everything. You had big photo opportunities for the 2G scam. And I actually had a police person telling me that kuch nahi hone wala hai inka. I don't feel so sorry for them that we arrest them. The only time they're going to spend in jail is as under trials. Nothing is going to happen afterwards. Would you like to say something? He wants your comments.
They may say that, but I'll tell you all of them will go to jail post the case.
Let's hope so.
Can I? Yeah. Basically, I've been so inspired by what has happened post 2010, post Anna Hazare period, and kind of thing. And I have been glued to the news channel so much, and late in the night till 4 a.m. and and I always watch Dr. Swami's debates, and I interact with him on Twitter, and he replies back, bang,
Your question.
Yeah, so my question is that since I've been so inspired by what Dr. Swami has done and what's been happening, I've decided to be a journalist, a full-time journalist, and I'm starting out a new site called shiftopinions.com. Basically to change the mindset, of the whole system and to challenge the system. So putting up these exposés and threats, exposés and RTIs and all that on the site.
No, please.
Wonderful, all the
please
best.
Ask your question.
No, my question is this, that I'm scared by the threats, by the political pressure and you have this hand and glove club, or self-help club.
What's your question?
My question is that the threats that you might be exposing a lot of scams and all that. You have been doing that.
Okay, so let me answer. There are threats. Okay,
Yeah.
and if you can't face up to them, there's no point in getting into journalism. It's not a picnic, and the threats come in many ways. The threat can be an angry phone call. It could be a defamation notice, which they have no intention of converting it into a case. It could be a false defamation case. They can kill you financially, because I know a lot of people who started out very bravely, wanting to expose even the media. 2 media houses threatened to file a case and they closed up. So I think ultimately it depends on whether you have the staying power. Is it going to be a picnic? No. Will there be threats? 100% there will be threats. I mean, if you think because you want to be a journalist, everyone's going to stand and clap, nobody will. In fact, 90% of the people will throw stones at you. If you survive it, fantastic. Then join the club. You fight back.
Next.
It's got cold water in our veins.
No, I get as scared as everybody else, but I fight back. I don't give up.
Somebody there. The mic there.
Hello. You are supposed to say something on real estate scams. I've been going to MSCI stalls at Bandakula complex, and I've been checking that the rates, the property rates, the square feet rate have been negotiable. The 15,000 rate in Andheri has been coming. I mean, I can bargain to 11,000 and 10,000. It means these property rates are already high in the market. If I check in Panvel,
okay, what's the question?
See, basically, question is what exactly scams are coming, because the people, the builders are openly selling plots at 6 lakhs, 8 lakhs acres, and what exactly is scams?
No, it's true. Real estate is an unregulated sector. We have a complete mess about land records. Real estate is a sector which needs regulation ground up in every stage, okay? And I think for the last 15 years you had people saying it needs regulation, including somebody like Deepak Parekh. This is again another area where I feel that all of us as Indians have one dream. My father definitely had it as a government servant in Karnataka. He wanted to be able to build his one house at the end after retirement. Yet, how many people join in any fight to say that we need to have a regulator, we need to pay correctly based on carpet area? We are now been stuck with property rates which are so usurious. How many of you are joining us when we hold seminars to protest? We've held 2 seminars in MoneyLife Foundation. So I'm really quite tired of saying, is there a scam? I keep saying there's plenty to do for an investigative journalist. You touch anything, there's a scam there. Okay, so you can investigate whatever on earth you want to. Where we lose out is having people to come and join the effort to make a difference. So is there a scam in real estate? Yes, 100% there is. It is the most brazen scam. The whole of Mumbai has been destroyed. We opened the sea link which takes us from Sivri to Navasheva. Land prices will drop. 50 years ago you had the Wilbur Smith Committee report which said you need to have a link. Nothing has happened. Why has it not happened? Because we the people have kept quiet and allowed the government not to do it and allowed politicians to dictate to us.
No, 1 minute. Madam has got, I think, 2 slips. Questions? You can take them.
Okay, one of the slips is banks like Greater Bank selling compulsory 20-year life insurance policy along with bank lockers. All of them who blackmail you into taking insurance policies is wrong. Please write letters. Today, the system works slightly better. You have to make a complaint. You have to follow a process. Okay, first of all. No point in whining on Twitter or in social media. You have to write a letter to the bank. You don't get a reply, you have to write a letter to the bank chairman. If you don't get a reply from there, take those 2 letters and write to the banking ombudsman. He has to pay attention to you. They cannot force a policy on you. So, if you keep quiet, you'll end up with a policy. If you fight back, they can't force you. The second is that I'm an aspiring entrepreneur and there is problems with registrations. I think Mr. Nalapat has already talked about it. The laws in India are terrible for small companies and the amount of paperwork you do even after all the e-filing is absolutely crazy. We do not want to document anything. We have people from the municipal corporation who come to our office and demand money even from people like us. So we say, give us your rules so that we can follow them. Maybe we have mistakes this year. We don't want to have any next year. They laugh in our face and tell us, Madam, koi bhi follow nahi kar sakta hai. Because even today, as he was saying, we have something called the lime wash register. Nothing is lime wash, not even this auditorium. But you have to have a lime wash register claiming that you've lime washed it. They have not even scrapped something as simple as that. You have a license for the little threshold step to climb into a shop. Do you know that? And I know an activist who said, I am one of the few people in Bombay who knows that you have a license and I have it. So the municipal guy who had come to extort money told him, even then you are in violation. So he said, why? He says, you haven't read it. That step is supposed to be wood and you put granite. So Again, it's not going to happen with a few people writing. It's going to happen when people protest. When that happens, things will change.
I think we can take one more question only.
Ma'am, can you guide us if there are some false kind of advertisement on the television? Whom to write, what to write?
Identify yourself.
Shailen Gautam from Mumbai.
How
like
to complain
I have
about
seen
fake?
advertisement on Havells Wire. They shows that
Okay.
And really they shows the flag of Congress rather than showing the flag of India. There is no Ashok Chakra on that. They are directly or indirectly showing the flag of Congress. So we want to protest it that if you are talking about India, you must talk about the flag of India rather than showing the flag of Congress.
You write a complaint to the Advertising Standards Council of India. You can do it even on email and they will take it up.
I